Hello, fellow Mythrunians, and welcome to another weekly live stream. This one a day late. Next week's will probably be a day late too, as a matter of fact. Tonight we're just trying to finish up this, what you call it, the release, because I was trying to cut a release last weekend and it got delayed, so we're going to try to cut one this weekend or Monday, and we're just kind of getting all things worked out for that. So as usual, there are my awesome patrons scrolling off to the left there. Everybody raise a drink. I'll raise my Pepsi. To my members, thanks for all you do. We'll see if this is too put with the mic right here. Usually I have it a little lower. Alright, without further ado, let's start tackling things. I can't minimize that or I'll lose my chat window. Oh, let's talk about things that I got done. Okay, so we will make. Well, I'll show you the creation of a new world because the new preview window, but I won't actually create a new world because I've got like a test area that I'm playing with. Okay, so like if we go in here, now these previews are much better. Well, for new worlds that are generated correctly, they'll be better. But as you're creating a new world, so say you've put in some random seed and you go preview, you can get like an idea of what the world will look like with your spawn location in it. So here we would spawn near the coastline. Actually, this looks like a pretty cool world. And there's a desert right nearby across the ocean. But each of these hexagons down here says it's 1 day travel. So it's about 3,000 meters. About 3 kilometers, so it would take us a little bit to get over here from here, but it kind of gives you an idea of, you know, this is the area we would see on the map when we join the world. But it gives you an idea of, yeah, I wish I could save that seed. Gives you an idea of sort of what you're about to spawn into, so that if you find that it's, yeah, so here you'd be spawning into a desert on a little island. Maybe that's not what you want. Maybe that is what you want. Oh, that a really small island there. So yeah, probably about 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers, that little teeny island. That's actually a neat world. But then if you find that you're spawning into like a cold desert or a desert and you don't want to deal with that, like if you were spawning into the middle of this, then you might choose a different world, because that could be kind of harsh or certainly less visually appealing. I actually want to check this world out. So let's call it small island spawn. Yeah, so let's actually generate this. So again, it generates more of the world at the beginning now, which I think that was true before. So this is what, and I'm gonna shorten this time a little bit. I left it long because I thought I needed to generate more data to start, but I actually can reduce it to about maybe a third of the time. I've got like a bunch of things I'm working on at once, trying to wrap this release up. Some things that are desirables and some things that are requirements. So let's see what we got. This is misleading. It's going to go faster at some point. Yeah, here it goes. The first subductile it generates always takes longer. Yeah. Takes about a minute to minute and a half on average. Like I said, I plan to reduce that time before the release. I've got like all these things on my to-do list that I'm trying to get in. Well, some of these are clearly not going to make it this time, but little bugs I found, things I want to fix. So we're trying to get all that working. Okay, it's almost done. So we can see what the spawn area looks like on this world. And while it's doing that, I can show you the thing we were working on. Was it a couple of weeks ago or last week, or where you could pick better clothing for your character, because I'm really liking that. I really like to be able to dress my character right off the bat in stuff. So we can go in here. Let me select the standard human female. But now you have, like, we sort of created this before, and so I can say, well, I want her to have, these leather shorts. I don't like the red stain. I want to use something else. And so these are leather, so that you're going to pick from the leathers or the suedes. Let's give her green. And yeah, silver is fine. So this gives her that pair of shorts. It's kind of a dark green, hard to see in this light. You can kind of see it a little bit. And so then I can like spend some time giving her matching clothing if I want to. So if I want to give her, like, I've been fond of this like shirt vest, which I think lets me select leather too. Yeah, so I can, does it? Oh no. There is one, what is it, the open shirt? Yeah, open shirt. I think I can select leather. There is a shirt that lets me, is it the fur shirt? Yeah, fur can be leather. No? I thought for sure it was the shirt vest. It's letting me select suede. Alright, well, let's just give her dark suede. So you can wear that and give her something that kind of looks like it matches. I like the high boots, which is something I added. And these we can actually match the belt. So we get she get the long green boots to go with her green shorts. So anyway, you just spend some time building your character up. And you can give her a random name now too. So yeah, Dissa. That's sure, why not? Let's give her some natural braces that match her. Let's use red actually, and then for the trim we'll use the green. Okay, so we can give her, some clothing, get her decked out the way we want. Let's give her a silver necklace. Yeah, Fade's standard silver necklace. And let's change her hair. I think she needs to be more of a brunette. Maybe. Yeah, that's good enough. Alright, so then once you got your character the way you like it, you can save and continue. And because we took extra time doing that, the world should already be loaded, mostly. Yeah. This is one of the things I have to fix, is the progress bar thing gets all jumpy. And in this case, it's not even showing us progress. It's set up to always show the bar, but even if, anyway, so that the UI doesn't jump around, but sometimes it's actually disappearing. And so you see, we also, from the progress perspective, we come right in. We can immediately see all the things. We can immediately start moving around. In previous live streams, this was super jerky, and one of the reasons that was super jerky was because I had my clip set way out, and when you've got far terrain, there's no reason to have the clip set that far out. Yeah, so we started on a really tiny island. We can see ocean in all directions. That's kind of cool. So then there's some land up here in this direction. That's the closest. Wow. There's a coastal town way over here, but this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 kilometers away. Almost, well, probably 6, given the map. So it's kind of cool. Let's jump out of the tower here. No fall damage yet. Yeah, somebody was asking me about ambient occlusion. There's a little bit of ambient occlusion, just it's not very good. And now, yeah, so I'm killing the stream by running this. Okay, so we're on top of a little snow-covered peak on this little bitty island, which is kind of a cool place to start. There would probably be a village on this island in the real version, because wherever there's going to be a spawn tower, there'll be at least a small village or settlement that generates in the... Yeah, so then you could run down and... Okay, so here's a gameplay hack. You can actually, if you hold the space bar and jump, sometimes you can bounce from treetop to treetop. Not so much on the pine trees, but on the regular forests for sure. Okay, so let's jump down here. Yeah, so sometimes we can... Yeah, here, now we're getting into the regular trees, so you can jump from treetop to treetop. If you don't want to fly, you know. Whee! Yeah, so we hit a clearing every now and then, and so we'll drop back down. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I make it. Yeah. So it's kind of a fun trick. The simian race will be able to do this pretty naturally, I think, because they'll have an easier time grabbing onto the tree branches. Alright, so, yeah. So anyway, we get the idea. And so if we look, there's a coast over here. But this would be an interesting place to start. Anyway, that's all that. I think that's all there is to show there. I've been working on resurrecting the thing that calculates the world regions, so I know where the oceans and the land masses and forests and stuff are. That's not as far as I would like it. I don't know if that's going to make it into this release. Oh, the other thing I want to show is, yeah, so I've been messing with the sandstone, and that's why I didn't want to change worlds, because I was already in a world that had a desert town. Anyway, we'll go, I remember, I think it's Coastal Desert Bay. Yeah. So this one's cool. You start here and you can see way off in the distance kind of a desert off on to the west, which I've already gone to. So anyway, I really love these little splash images. I can't wait to include some with creatures in them, other than the NPCs and dogs and stuff. But it always kind of gets me excited to play. And I already know that there's nothing here, so yeah, some of them turn out really good. Yes, this is one of the random generated names. I actually love the random name generation. That's what I was working on right before the live stream, is trying to get the towns set up with random names, and kind of what we prototyped in that tool a couple weeks ago. Trying to like move that into the engine officially, since the name generation's in there now, which took me about a day to set up the build and stuff to automatically generate those training sets. Okay, so here's what I worked on. I redid the sandstone cobble texture to actually be more sandstone-y. So to give you an idea, let me load the regular cobble. So if we put, let's do a half slab down. Yeah, so let's put some regular cobble next to here. Okay, so that's what regular cobble looks like, and this is sort of the desert version of cobble, which could be the streets, or it could be, you know, ancient buildings that have this, you know, this texture. I think I need to incorporate more of the... So when you have shading, you get like all the nice normal maps and bump maps, and they all like make it all look cool and rocky. But when it's just flat, you know, there's none of that color in the flat version. So I think I need to punch up the texture a little bit so that it has some of the shading from the normal maps, so that even without light it has just a little bit of that grain in it. So, but I mean, color wise, I think we're getting there. One of the things I've got to fix, so if I want to include the desert stuff at all, one of the things we have to fix is fixing these to look correct. They should be more like the thatch, in that there shouldn't actually, the sides should be dependent on whether there's something there, and they should be a version of the the awning itself. Actually, it's weird. Why does it have like a grain to it? Oh, yeah, because it's fabric. Duh. So I need those on the sides. I kind of want to have the little droopy things maybe. I haven't really decided, but I definitely need to get rid of the bottoms and put, just for reference, let me put a thatch block next to it and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Oops. So let's see. Oh, that's the corner. We don't want the corner. We want the regular wedge. Yeah. So if I had a thatch block next to this, you can see how, like, inside it has framing, and it just doesn't have an edge, just the flop. And so I want the awning blocks to be more like this. Let's see if I put one next to it. Yeah, and so this one still has the drop downs inside, but I wouldn't do that for these. I would have it so that if you had a bunch together, it would just be that internal awning, and then only on the open edges would it have some fabric dropping down. Anyway, I think it'll be better. One of the things I have to fix, let me roll back time a little bit so it stays bright outside, is one thing I noticed is, so the way the FAR buildings work is it reduces every block to kind of a pixel in a sense. And so it's very important that it picks a decent color for that. And I noticed that as I get far away, you can see like there's some bright blue and oranges and reds and stuff because they're not mapped to good colors. We'll see these buildings as I get far enough away. They're like garbage colors. So I need to map those particular block types to better colors. I need to figure out what this other block type is that's mapping to blue. Oh, it's the, yeah, so essentially all of these Adobe blocks, their type needs to be mapped to like a, basically the same as the sand color. And then the sandstone needs to be mapped. But I think the sandstone architecture blocks are coming along pretty good. From far away, if there's the right kind of light, I think that tower looks about like I wanted it to, which gives it, which makes, means I can use it for more building materials. So yeah, one test I wanted to do while I got you guys here is one of the ways I tested the cobble was using it as a wall, right? So for dungeons and things. So down in the, let me show you what I mean. So I tried, this is where I originally became kind of happy with that. Oh. Somebody's bajinging me on the... oh, let me check in case it's something related to this. Yeah. So that's Gomric here is makes a good point about, you know, the sharp corners and stuff in the AO and so on. So he's been talking to me about that on the Discord, which, by the way, if you download the game, the Discord link is right in the in that splash screen that comes up. Okay, so anyway, one of the ways I eventually got to the point where I was happy with the cobble was putting it as a dungeon wall, right? So then, you know, once I had it looking decent in a dungeon environment, I liked that, and I really have a vision in mind for desert temples as well. So like desert ruins, underground ruins, and so I haven't tried this yet. So I just want to see what the sandstone cobble looks like in this kind of environment. Oh. I'm clicking faster than the camera's moving. I cannot tell you how slow the live stream makes everything. Okay, so we've got this in here, and now let me put one of the magic blocks down here. We'll put a small one, the magic lights. No, I guess we'll use the big one. So if we had a light down here. Yeah, so um so this is what it would look like in a dungeon. And I guess that's not bad. I kind of expected the local lighting to totally wash out the normals, but that's not bad actually. It's only in the full daylight that we lose all texture, and you know, there's kind of this dynamic effect as we look around. Yeah, so as far as the dungeon wall goes, I think this is pretty good. And then for flooring in a dungeon temple would be, so the other thing is, in order to include it, this clay brick that I added is just awful. But that would be the floor in a place like this, right? And right now it's just awful. I need to fix this. And I don't know that I like that it's directional. I may, like, cobble is kind of directional. It looks like layers. But this actually rotates in any direction. And I may pick a better clay brick pattern that does that too. Actually, this is not as horrible as I remember in this particular environment. Because I mean, I just hand sketched this really quickly that day. But yeah, I may make them fatter bricks so it's a little less obvious that they all run in one direction. More like this that like has no specific direction. And in fact, it's a really cool trick I used to line up all the edges in such a way that even if you rotated this texture, it would still line up with all the things. If you mirror it or rotate it, it all still lines up with all the edges. It's kind of cool. Anyway, so that's where we are, and so, yeah, I have like I have a clear vision of things I want to have inside of desert temples and things. So we're getting close to that kind of thing. All right, so without further ado, let's look at the list. I'm really unhappy with the jumpiness of the progress bar. This is definitely happening next, and this we have to do today. So make the progress UR. This is not happening today either, or this weekend. This I definitely want to. So if we get time, maybe we can work on that. But so see, some of these things are desirable. Like I would like to be able to have real town names instead of town 1, town 2, town 1258, whatever. I'm not going to get to fix that. I did fix this. Left a world, went to another. Portal blindness never went away. I'm pretty sure this is fixed because well, I'll leave it. I'm going to confirm, but I'm not working on it this. Yeah, I do need to fix that. So this is day-night transition for newly generated world lags hard because of moon gates. So if you start exploring the moon gates, it will generate parts of the world, like the blocks are there. You know, if you instantly traveled there, they've already got their blocks generated because it needed to know enough about the surroundings to know where that particular portal was going to be. But that means that as soon as you hit like one Moongate portal and it starts like expanding the network a little bit, that first night, that first night when it like the moon gates are going to turn on, or the first morning where the moon gates are going to turn off, there's a little bit more it has to generate in order just to flip those blocks on and off to turn the lights on and off. And it's done on the main thread, or it lags the main thread for some reason, and so you get in this place where you can only look around, you can't actually move. That's a bad player experience. It may not be a huge issue because I don't know how many new players would actually start exploring moon gates, but yep, there's a bug in one of the seeds where a big keep generates right on top of spawn, so I need to make sure that things don't generate on top of spawn. I fixed this. World previews do show wastelands. I'm still finishing this up. Better preload management. So that's sort of what we saw, the better progress indications and stuff. Yeah, that's a performance issue I noticed. If you fly above 640 meters or whatever the max build height is, there's the thing that tries to calculate your local environment to know like whether to make bird sounds and stuff, it like churns for some reason because it can't actually get the data because there is no data above build height, and so then it just churns, and that's probably not good. Probably takes some performance away when you're flying high, which eventually will matter when we're flying in airships and things. Some of these are minor, but they're easy to take care of, so I'm going to leave them on the list. Yeah, so let me look at making the UI progress bar less jumpy. I think I fixed one thing and it broke another. And then we'll mess with name generation. So the progress tracker UI is actually part of one of the open source packages in the Moss stuff, and it sits and watches like there's a progress tracker thing that's like uses thread locals and things so that any background process can just say, hey, I want to report progress to whoever's watching, and then this UI will adapt and it will open it up. But there's something I changed recently about how it auto expands and auto collapses, and I believe I end up, did I commit it? Come on, Git. Why you gotta be like that? Okay, so yeah, I haven't checked these in yet, so then I can see what my changes were. Just some logging in the progress trackers, better management of the removal of the things, but in the tracker view, yeah, if and expand only. So that is near line 172. Right? Isn't that what this is telling me? If thread views is empty. Here, right here. So I think like there's this expand only idea, which is it should be if, yeah, so there's this expand only, which is like as it increases to add progress bars, if they go away it won't decrease again, it'll just stay that size because it makes for a less jumpy UI. And if you're going to have lots of different things reporting progress, you don't want it like constantly like increasing and decreasing. The other thing I want to do is make the decrease happen like a couple frames later in case something else thing. But in this case, there used to be the behavior that as soon as you added a tracker to your UI, you were always going to get a space for at least the default label and progress bar. And then I recently made that so to be only on expand only. But I think I'm going to make a separate flag for that. So private boolean always show default equals true. And then in the case where I don't want it, and I'll show you why I did that in a second. So let's oops. What did we call it? We called it, I'm just doing a trick here. Okay, so let's boink. Always should default replace all. Okay, and get always show default. Okay. Now we can put that down here. And go here. Boink, boink, boink. Okay, so as long as it's always show default, we will add back the default label, default progress, even if we're empty. And now let me show you what that breaks, because we set that to true by default, right? Because that's the way it used to be. Yeah. So I've got two different versions of Gradle, two different versions of Java on my system. Mythruna uses the newer Java 1.18 or something, and these are all still, with my open source libraries, I try to keep them compatible, so I think I'm still running 1.7, maybe 1.8. So the point being, yeah, 1.8. I think it's the same, same Gradle. Excuse me. But the bottom line is that it launches new daemons. So I get two sets of Gradle daemons with my open source environments versus here. And so it sometimes takes a while to compile the first time. Okay, so let me show you what that broke. Hopefully it fixed some things though. So what it broke, and actually it might not be broken anymore. Let us see. Yeah, because I changed the UI where that mattered. So it used to be when you'd create there was an invisible progress bar up here, and so then when you'd preview, it would pop that open, and then it wouldn't close again. So you'd end up with this big gap up here, and so I modified it to automatically close it. But actually now, oh, so this is get you right on the edge of a frozen tundra several days wide. Which maybe that's something you like. Yeah, you're sandwiched between like a frozen tundra and like a really dry. So this turns to desert up here and down here. I mean, guys, I got to tell you, I've spent a lot of time just random preview, looking at all the different worlds that generate. So it's kind of addictive. Just check like these. Oh, huge ice sheet up here. Ocean-sized ice sheet. Because this is a really wide area. This is 65 kilometers on edge. So this is a huge area. Yeah, so here's a frozen desert, or cold desert is what I call it, because that's basically nothing can grow here, but it's like sometimes frozen like below zero, sometimes in the low single digit Celsius or low double digit. But anyway, yeah, I got some like jungle level forests up here too. Okay, anyway, yeah, so I sit here and I random and I preview. Oh yeah, another big ice sheet, cold desert. Like I looked it up. There is such a thing as a cold desert. They have like a valley in Antarctica where there's no snow or anything. It's just, but nothing grows there. Yes, basically it's too dry for snow or ice to form, but it's otherwise cold enough that it's that snow or ice would form and nothing can grow there. So it's an interesting biome. That'll be the most challenging one to find interesting things to do with. But yeah, so I've spent a lot of time just previewing worlds. I think the one thing I broke is that this used to be. No, I think it's fine. Okay, so we didn't break this. And what so then if I continue existing world, this should stay open and it shouldn't jump around as much. Let's see. Yeah. So already it's not like jumping around. It just was frustrating to me. It's like I feel like that UI sits low, but let's go. Come on. Yeah, so this is much less jumpy. If we go into the world, what's that going to look like? Oh yeah, that's way better. And there was the other thing is like when it finally finished. Yeah. Okay. So we fixed one of the bugs already. But I haven't committed that code yet, so I'm going to hold off on. Yeah, so here we are. Portal blindness should clear pretty quickly. Yeah, real quick. Okay, this is a cool world to explore. Yeah, this spawns way over here. This is all desert right here. And then there's a cold desert down here, just over the hill. Yeah, this entire peninsula down here, this little island chain is a cold desert. And there's actually a little village on this little teeny island here. It's pretty cool. Alright, so that's working. That was one of the really critical things I had to fix. So now we can do some fun stuff. So let's play with town names. Because I'm really into having better town names. So I've decided, I've been messing with this culture type. So the idea here would be like you could have a category of, you know, place names and then the name of that particular type of culture, which I think for now I'm just going to set like language 1, language 2, language 3, but then I can point those to particular training, not training sets, but name generation, pre-trained name generators, right? And so then, just like the ones I have for player names, I can load up a particular one for that region. Yeah, like my nose is all weird now because I have that sneeze. And so this could be in a CSV file or something. I think initially I'm just going to hard code a couple. And then you'd have these cultural centers, which is per, you know, maybe per sedactyle. Sedactyle being a 16 kilometer on edge. You'd have one randomly generate somewhere in there, and then I'm trying to think if I should try to draw this. So then within that sedactyle, if you were trying to generate a town name, I could look at this sedactyle and the surrounding ones to find all of these culture centers, and you know, pick the closest one, or if they're all pretty, like if they're all within about the same distance, you know, I could randomly pick one to choose to generate a based on their culture type, generate the whatever. So there's going to be this idea of a cultural influence. So let us define that cultural influence. Did I spell all that right? And so this would have .name .world.name. So this would be, and I'm just going to make it public for now. I think it would be, you'd have the culture type and the distance. And so, let me make sure I actually have like notes on this. So this is how I develop. Yeah, so then I have like this idea. And then for a particular location, we could ask it. We could ask the world manager or something. Probably we'll make a new manager. So yeah, I have this idea that -1 for non-distance based like regions. Because the idea being, these are just kind of arbitrary, like if you imagine there are areas of the world where the names of places were influenced by history. It goes back forever, but probably you could pinpoint, you know, cultural centers to make a shape, and everything there is influenced by that. But they'll also be influenced potentially by regions. You know, if you're in a big forest, you might have different sets of names and things. So these cultural influences may come from a lot of different places. Right now, they'll just come from, randomly picked points within a particular 16 by 16 kilometer area, but eventually they could also, you could have layers of them. If you're in the middle of a forest, you'd get like -1 for your distance because that's the cultural type you're influenced by, whatever. Anyway. And so then we need like some kind of, I'm going to call it a culture registry. I don't have a better word for it. Culture manager. Let's call it culture manager. And this would be where we ask it for a given location. For a given location, what are the cultural influences for this particular location? So, what did I call? Was it a set or is it a collection? It's a set. Probably a tree set sorted by distance. So sorted set, cultural. What do I call it? Cultural or culture? Cultural influence. Get cultural influences. Vec3i location. Import comps and silica mathd start. I promise we'll get to visualization here in a second. Because I'm going to set this up to just do it in memory for now. And so we can kind of see how it'll work. But eventually this will generate and then like store the data on disk. So private map. I'm going to need mworld as well. So that I can get Sedectile ID. Sedectile culture. Sedectile cultures, yeah. Okay. So for now we'll just do oh, you gotta culture center. Yep. Okay, so for now one per thing. Get Sedectile culture, Sedectile ID. So for a given ID, we want to look up the, whoops. Cultures. I keep spelling it that way for some reason. And so then if the result is null, that Sedectile doesn't have one yet, and this is normally be where we generate it and store it to disk. But for now, we're going to say random rand. We're going to need to know the base seed. And so then when we create one of these, we're going to need to know the base seed. So that's sort of the world seed. It'll eventually need to know more things about the world, and we'll probably have to pass the whole world in. But so new random base seed plus id.getID. So for every Sedectile, we will have a custom random number generator. We need to know. We will need a list of, for temporarily, we will need a list of culture types. This will eventually be loaded from a spreadsheet or something. But for now, we'll call it place names. Yeah, so then, yeah, when we ask for cultural influence, we got to give it a type as well. All right. So when it place names, oh no, we need to give it a category. Yeah, okay. So place names, language 1, lang 1, we'll just call it lang 1. And then, let's see, it'll be, I did this, so I actually took the time, this is why it took a little while, I took the time to make a separate, like, sub-project of Mythruna called namesets, which lets me just put namesets in a directory, and then it will automatically compile them into, it'll use that, so the namesets are just like a text list, and then it will turn them into it'll turn them into the dataset files, nameset files, so that it'll train name generator and save the pre-trained set, kind of. But let's see what data we want to copy over. Is it in? Nope. Must be C. Downloads name. I think I closed them all. Oh, language. Names. Yeah, so that's names. Where's places? Oh, man. So maybe it is on Z. CD name gen. Okay, cool. We're in the right place. Populated places. There we go. All right. Now we're cooking with gas. And so, so I'm just going to pick some of these for now. They have to be of reasonable size. But we're going to pick, so let's pick some big ones. And I'm going to pick ones that look distinctly different. And these will not be the final ones I ship with, because they'll be obviously Indian and China and Japan and that kind of thing. And can't remember where US falls in this, and I have like the list of the country codes. But GBR for Great Britain. So we've got Australia. Yeah, so some of these I will combine or tack them onto existing ones to kind of muddy the origins, especially these like little islands and things that they have. I'll tack those onto other languages to kind of like muddy up their training sets just a little bit, so it's less obvious where the data came from. But for now, for testing, it's really nice to be able to see dots. So let's China. I want big ones because they'll be a better test. So let's set it to development, GitHub, Mythruna, nameset, source, main, names, places. And we'll call this lang1.txt. Alright. And then I will pick, let's do IND as lang2. Let's do JPN as lang3. Yeah. And GBR as lang4. And what is US? Anyway, this is these will be sufficiently distinct. Like if we go back over here, Mythruna source main. Whoops. Name set source main. Sister. So if we lang 1, these have lots of Chinese looking names. Lang 2, definitely Indian looking names. Name 3, yeah, like Japan has a lot of the accents into. That's kind of cool. And then 4, definitely British. But again, I will combine some sets to make some distinct ones. The other thing I can do is I can use a training set or one or more text files to make a training set, which then I use to generate several thousand unique names, and then edit those names to remove anything that looks too much like a real name, or it doesn't fit the style I'm going for or something. I can kind of edit it and then use that as a training set. So it's a way to clean a training set. But anyway, this will be enough for us to test with. And so it will compile all those into a build directory. What do I have to do? Classes, will that work here? Yep, it's generating the resources, so it's going to generate all those new ones. And so we will end up, I generated everything? It did. That's unfortunate. I'd hope it would only regenerate the ones that have been added. Build, generated resources, main, name sets, places. So then we've now got these training sets, which are not very big. The name sets, the trained name generation graph. But I need to know the locations. That's what I was going to get at. lang1.nameset. Anyway. So I think, let me look at how I did this in the UI for the character creator. Randomized name. Yeah, so I had name generated cache. And so that would have been under did I put it under, where did I put the name generator cache? Text? No, it's a subdirectory under something else. World. Yeah, that's actually a good place for it. Yeah, in fact, I'm already there. Okay, so then I had so it does have a slash, and these won't be constants. So slash places slash lang1 dot name set. And so you can imagine filling up a spreadsheet with, so if you had your own game you were writing, you could do similar. Or if you were creating a mod for Mythruna, there'll potentially be some way to add new name sets for different areas, like if you had special culture you were trying to add to the game, that kind of thing. All right. This should be a constant, but I'm not going to bother with that right now. Okay. So then, and is the name generator cache global? It is. Awesome. And so we want to import this. We want to get a name generator I'll just call it gen equals name generator get key. So we call it name generator cache get generator, and then it will be, oh yeah, we wanted the we need to know the category. Not the category. Oh no. The this already has it in there. So result dot so this culture center is already, it got a type in it, and the type already has all the stuff in it. So we get the type, then we get the resource, which will be that file, which will be on the class path, etc., etc. And then, oh no, I'm an idiot. We don't need this yet. All right. This is not where name generation happens. I'm being an idiot. I'm jumping too far ahead. We're still trying to figure out what cultural centers are nearby. And so if we don't have one yet, that's why I needed all these. I need to randomly pick one. Culture int index equals ran.next int types.size. Okay, so we pick one. Culture type equals types.get index. Okay, so we've got a random one we picked, and now we got to pick a random location. vec3i world origin equals id dot get world. So we get the world location, the world origin of that particular sedectile, and then we will add to it ran.next int sedectile id dot size. And so basically, for this particular sedectile, you know, it's got an origin, and then we randomly pick a location within that ID, which is, you know, 16384 by 16384. And so then we'll have a culture that will be in there somewhere. And then I think we just don't have a particular radius. That's fine. And so result equals new culture center type origin null. And then we put it in types.put ID result, and we return result. And so for here, I'm going to add a max radius just so that the caller can say, you know what, don't bother searching any larger than this particular area, just in case. But that will also give us a sort of an ability. We'll set this as an int. It doesn't need to be a double. So we will say center, yeah, location, that's fine. Okay, so for int I equals minus radius. Oh, no. Sedectile ID min equals get sedectile from world. So we want to get the minimum corner and the maximum corner based on this radius, which isn't exactly accurate, but it will work. So location.x minus the size. Okay. No, minus the max radius header. And then location.y. Now you may say, if the world grid is really only 2D, why do you bother passing in the y of the location? Well, that's because while the world is essentially 2D, the world grids are 3D because eventually there will be different layers in the world data for different types of, if you want to call them planes of existence, or whatever I need. Whenever I need to carve out a pocket universe, I can put it somewhere, in a different Y layer, because the main world only exists from 0 to 1024, and so I can actually have different layers to represent, the ethereal plane, or whatever the we're the spirit plane, or inside some kind of little pocket universe, or anyway, whatever I need to carve out for that. I can have different worlds, and the game mostly covers that. But so it's always important to always have the Y value, even in these essentially 2D grids. And so the max would be the same thing, only plus max radius. And so then we end up with this sort of, should I call it min ID, max ID, and then we'll have vec3 min loc equals min ID.get world null. So we're trying to, we're building the bounding box of whatever they asked for. And then we can search through that. And, if they come back the same ID, no big deal. Then our loop will only execute once, kind of thing. But in the meantime, we can, go from minloc to maxloc.x, and then I plus equals sedectile id.size. So essentially we're going to roll up all of the sedectile IDs in that particular area. Okay, so this needs to be Z. Classic mistake. All right, and so then the local origin is minloc. Oh no, we already have. So no. We've already got the actual XY. I should just call these X and Z. X, Z, X, Z. Okay, because I kept it in world space. Sedectile ID equals new sedectile ID from world new vec3i. I could make this more efficient. X location.y Z. Actually, let's call it minloc.y Z. So we got the ID. We need to collect these things, so we're going to have a tree set of cultural influence results equals new tree set. And so then we ask for the culture center. Get sedectile culture for this particular ID, and distance equals center dot location, get location, get center. That's distance to the location. Alright, so we know how far away it is. If distance is greater than max radius, then it's too far away, ignore it. Otherwise, results dot add new cultural influence what do we want? The type and the distance. So yeah, probably eventually we'll want more than that, but yeah, so center.getType and the distance. Okay, and then we return those. Okay, so all that should work except for what was I thinking? Oh yeah. I meant to do a different. Yeah, okay. That was dumb. Okay. Oh, I'm misspelling sedectile in a couple places, so this should be sedectile cultures. And then I've misspelled sedectile in at least one place. I come up with these names. I don't often think about how hard they're going to be to type. I get good at it after a while, but and I don't have a constructor for this yet, but that's okay. We already are missing some things here too. So let's make a private one that's just for serialization. Actually, it doesn't matter if it's public either. Public, oh, son of a bitch. Culture, type. Yeah, I hate typing that already. Distance, this dot type equals type, this dot distance equals distance, and I need to make it comparable so that it can go in the tree set. Implements, comparable, cultural influence. How is everyone's week? If you are actually still on. Anything interesting going on in everyone's lives? There. Okay, so first we will sort based on distance. Other dot distance, distance comma other dot distance. I think this will sort us in. So if test not equals 0, return test, and then if it does, we have to start comparing other things. And I think I'm going to just make culture type also comparable. Oops. So at override public int compare to culture type other int test equals category compare to other dot category. And then we'll do name and resource, but really shouldn't have to. So if test not equal to not 0, return test. What you don't want to have happen is two different things return 0 as the comparison, because in these kinds of tree sets it will evict one of them. And so I want to be able to fall back on that. Even if two of them are at the same distance, they'll still be different if the culture type is different. Now, if you had two cultural influences exactly the same type, that are exactly the same distance from you, one of them would not be returned, but one could argue that that's fine because it's irrelevant information. But you could add another test that looks at the system identity hash code or something to just to be sure that if they're actually different objects, then it doesn't bother to compare them. But anyway, type.compare to other.type. And I think I need to make this private. I think you should never create one of these without some values. Alright, okay, so we should compile. Not quite. Resouse. That's at least a new bug. New typo. Okay. So now we should compile, and then I can work on integrating this in the world manager. I'm going to put it in the Sedectile manager. It doesn't need to be, but this culture manager, but since it's Sedectile based, it makes sense to put it here. But I purposely structured this so that you can ask for cultural centers without ever having actually generated the Sedectile data, which I think is cool. And so right now we can just instantiate this directly. Oh no, we can't. In fact, we maybe we do want to add this to the world manager. And the reason being is that this is the place where we would know the seed. Yeah. So that means we're going to need name, and down here where we're setting things up, let's set this up as soon as possible. We might need the text DB. But otherwise, we can do this really early. So shapes, bump. Yeah, we may end up wanting to someday culture manager equals new culture manager info.get seed. I don't remember exactly. Info.get seed. Yep. All right. Okay. Oh, and you know what? I needed that. I needed it. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's see if we could still compile. We're gonna need to add a getter for this. I really would have rather not put it here, but anyway. There are things that have relatively low impact on my future that just make me feel bad. This is one of them. Like, moving this won't be a big deal if I have to move it someday, but it's just distasteful for whatever reason that I can't quite put my finger on. And while we're here, we could actually go ahead and, since this is an interpretation, why don't we build the logic into get a place name. So then my other code, so if we just want to get a random place name, get random place name. Yeah, location. I think that's all we need. And so for now, let's just pick the best one of these. Cultures equals get culture influence, place names, location. The max radius we will say is subductile ID size times 2. So even I'm trying to think what's the worst case scenario. So the worst case scenario is where we generate a cultural center at the far corner of a subductile, in which case we would have to do by 2 because we've actually used actual distance and not taxicab distance. Taxicab distance is like where you just count the number of blocks over and blocks down. Whereas we've calculated the actual circular distance to filter. And so if you're at one corner, the other corner is 1.44, what if square root of 2 away from you, right? Yeah. And so we could do 1.5. But then, yeah, this will be fine. I don't think this is going to be overly expensive to calculate. So let's get, I think sorted set lets us get the first one. Come on. You guys are quiet tonight. Is the chat working? Yeah. Yeah, so next week I've got a show to go to on Friday night, so I won't be able to do Friday, so I'll have to do Saturday again next week. Pretty sure I'm free on Saturday. So yeah, first. We can get the first one. So, test. Hey, it's working. Thanks. I was just kind of kidding. Everyone was so quiet. Equals. So first we want to see if it's empty. Then it's null. Otherwise, cultures. First, if influence equals null, how did that happen? Otherwise, we're going to do this little bit again. Bit ill. Aw, I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. Location.x plus location.z. That'll be good enough. Then how do I do it over here? Yeah, like, anyway, I don't even remember what I was going to say. Well, I'm sorry you're not feeling well. Okay, so this is where we want to get to. All right. So we want to generate, place names. Place names, we want at least 2 characters, or at least 2 clusters. So you could have like a, MAI kind of you know, or Theo. You could have like a really short place name potentially. Up to 8 seems reasonable. Actually, I kind of feel like towns would always be bigger names, maybe. I don't know. Well, we're gonna run. This is all in memory. We're not saving anything, so I can actually run this again and again in the. So get generator, and the generator we want is influence dot type dot get resource, and we're gonna generate the word. Actually, I'm gonna do this. And then, yeah, so we got to import all that stuff anyway. Somebody's making food. Which I think I had done before, and then, yeah, I removed it. Okay. Okay, so we get a randomizer based on the location and the seed, so that each location will start with a different pseudo-random set. So no matter what, you can ask, you should get always a different value. You should get the same value if you ask for the same location again. So yeah, so that we generate a name, we turn it into a word, we can just return it. Let's see if that compiles. And then from here we can actually start messing with our prototype again. Or the test harness that I set up. The test bed. My Pepsi's almost all gone. Alright. Normally I'd pop a piece of gum in, but I won't subject you to that. Alright, so then I was playing with regions. So I am going to put this under a flag if false, because it makes the actually let's make a boolean up here. Boolean show regions equals false, and then I can come back down here and I can have if show regions. Because then I can also do this. If show regions, itchy nose, do this, which makes the terrain really ugly looking, because it's easier to see the regions if the terrain is low. Otherwise, we will do this. Alright, so now we should be able to run the scripter app, which will run our little scripted test harness, which should draw the world and just give us the town blah 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 names and not actually generate real names, but then we can hook it up. And actually, because this is all reproducible, it actually doesn't matter if I store it. Everything is predictable based on the seed and the location. There is actually nothing truly random about this. Yeah, so right now they're all just the town. Oh, yeah, you know, I probably want to allow specifying different parameters on here. Probably you want to be able to specify the min-max tokens or min-max clusters instead of hard coding at 2.8, because like a city may want bigger names and villages may want little teeny names, or vice versa. Okay, so let's real quickly replace these with but anyway, what I mean is that there's no reason to store any of this, because other than the fact that if you add new languages, it will change which random language it might have picked for an area. But other than that, everything is entirely predictable. So for the same set of languages, even though we are randomly picking them, it's a pseudo-random number generator that is seeded by the world seed and the ID of the sedactyle. So no matter how many times you do this, you're going to get the same answer if you put the same seed in. So there's no real reason to store this other than this bit, which is a compatibility thing. So the fact that I'm doing all this memory is probably okay. Yeah, in fact, even if I add stuff later, I'm not looking up the same name again once I've stored it, so I'll be storing that in the database. Yes, this might actually work. Brian, thanks, guys. You helped me figure out that I don't even need to add a database for this particular type of data. So, okay, so in here we used to have this get name thing. Yeah, I'm going to kill this and we'll load it again because I want to be able to put the min max in. Min clusters, max clusters. Then we can experiment with what works best rather than hard. I was actually really dumb to hard code this. Min clusters, max clusters. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, just run again. That's exciting. So this actually could be almost done. Just need to incorporate it in the name generation itself. Ah, neat. That'd be really cool. Oh, and pick good training sets. Why you take so long? Oh, it didn't. It just was loading the database. Okay, now let us go and change our name calculator that I believe I've stubbed out. Get name. Yeah, so I currently have else we want to ask world manager dot culture manager dot get, what do I call it, get random name. Oh, the memory she's going. Get random place name, location. Yeah, I may change to do this for the local seed. It's a safer bet. Anyway, min max return. We can set this to false. Okay, so let's see what happens if I do this. Uh-oh. That's not good. Do I? No such method. Ooh. Ooh. That is a ginormous oversight on my part. And that is such a ginormous oversight that I am actually going to go fix mathd. So this is an actual open source. You can go on the internet right now and get this one. This is mathd, which is sort of a double version of the JMonkey engine classes, but it's also got an int version. vec3i is the integer version of a vec3. And apparently it has distance squared. It has distance. Oh, not get distance. Okay, so nothing to fix, just my idiocy. My own, no. Are we using the wrong version? Because it definitely does have that. So we're running 161 snapshot is the version that we're currently working on. When did I add the yeah, so they're added in this version. There should be nothing to do. Okay, so then this is probably actually a version issue. No? I'm confused. Yeah, because it let me compile. This was a bug. This was, yeah. It let me compile the Java, so that actually exists. It's Gradle itself that it's only in the Gradle environment that it's getting confused. All right, let's just try again. Maybe it was a weird fluke. So it's a class path issue and not actually an API issue. Okay, so let's check the Gradle dependencies. Always a good time. Okay, so we want to see what the tool runtime is. That's it. Okay. SimMath 161 snapshot. You know, just to get it past this, I'm going to do 2 vec3d distance location 2 vec3d. Just to, that should work. It's slow. It's like stupid to have to do that. Why didn't you feel like you compiled something? But I don't want to have to monkey with dependency issues when 26 minutes left on a normal live stream. We're really close to having like actual names. And if this also fails for a similar reason, then we know something's really messed up with my environment. Nah, okay. So we got names now. But we can't necessarily see if it's working. Oh, well, yeah, we've got like West Charles, South Upley. Why does that have a lowercase u? So I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm going to move closer. So over here, South Upley. Somebody has a lowercase u. Uh-oh. Yeah, so these are being influenced by what looks to be holy. No. So we must have had some errors, because I doubt that a word is allowed to end on that. But that's another issue. Yeah, so we've got some British sounding places just creeping in over here on the edge. And then what looks to be more, it's hard to say. We got some Indian and what looks to be, yeah, Chinese. What I should do is I should put like big red markers on the map to show. Yeah, that's definitely like a Chinese over here. To show where the cultural centers are. But anyway, we've got different names for things. But yeah, let me go ahead and render the cultural centers for each of the sedectiles. So yeah, so I mean this is a protected method, but I can still call it from Groovy, so we should be fine. Alrighty, then what we want to do is go up here, WorldGen test, where we're rendering things. Yeah, all of this can be simplified now, actually. So this is rendering a specific sedectile, right? Yeah, render sedectile. And we run through all the villages. We collect them. And then at some point we draw the villages. Oh, we draw them all at the end. Yeah, that's right. So let's do something similar with the cultural centers. Where are the towns defined? Towns, villages, culture centers. Some cool names, add a lot of atmosphere. Yeah, I agree. And I hate calling things town 1435, you know. Culture centers. And then in here, we got a sedectile ID. We can just say culture centers.add world manager.get world manager culture manager.get sedectile culture sedectile ID. Okay, so then we got all those added, and then down here where we're looping over and making villages, we can also go each CC. So so we will do similar. We will create we create a box at the location. It will be the CC location, Pine Center origin, blah 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 blah. Add box. We want this one to be kind of tall, and we'll make it pink. Okay, so I just want to see if that's doing anything real quick. Nope. We got errors. Hey Max, how's it going? No such property location for class culture center. It's center. Should be location. I'm an idiot. I may fix that. So we should get like big pink towers. Yeah, so there are where the cultural centers are. They do not look random to me. They look evenly spaced at the origins of... Yeah, that's not right. At the origins of each of the sedectiles. So we're rendering 3x3 sedectiles here. So what, 48 kilometers on the edge. Mythruna kilometers. So this is not right. But let's see. So yeah, so around this culture center, I'm going to go ahead and add the types to the... so we're going to create a label. And we're going to use the CC type name Let's see if that works or if it's going to blow up. Okay, so we should be able to see which lang. Yeah, okay. So now we've got these little. You can't hardly see that one, but it's lang 1 there, which was China. Yeah. And then over here, lang 1 also, so this is also China. There's one off the edge here which we can't see. This one's lang 1, also China. It's like it's not very random. Lang 2, okay, so now we get India. Lang 3 was Japan. Yeah, so these, so it is figuring out like cultural ranges, but they're not being randomized. Every single one of them's at the origin of their sedactyl. So there's a bug there. I'm going to go ahead and look into that code. While I'm at it, I may fix the name here. So cultural center is already implied that it's a center, so I can change these to location and save myself a bunch of pain. Replace all, and then okay, so now that's location. And let's look at the culture manager and figure out why it's not actually randomizing the location. Oh. Add versus add local. So yeah, I was adding that value and I wasn't getting the return. So it was not actually setting. Awesome. Love seeing the world map. That looks so good. Oh, thanks. The one from the one that you were just seeing, or the one that's in the game? The preview stuff. This is now get location. Okay. To me, both of them are cool. But the map preview stuff I'm especially excited about. But yeah, this view looks kind of neat just because I just find it fun to like fly over terrain. Cool. All right. So now we should see different results. Yeah, so I mean this view is kind of fun, but it's not realistic at all. Okay. Where did my pink towers go? Okay. No such property center for okay, yeah. I forgot to fix the script. Ooh, hello. So now this is back to location. Yeah, the map preview, like the one thing that the thing I don't like about it, and it's not really a problem with the map preview, is that style with the hexagons and the map legend and stuff. Then when I'm in the game, I miss it. Like I want some of that. I want like to be able to put the hex grid on the main map in the game. Okay, so here we've got Lang 1, which was China. Yeah, so we've got like Chinese influenced names here. But then we've got Lang 2 here, which was India. So immediately we've got like some Indian names here and some Chinese style names here. Lang 3, which was Japan, so we get like Japanese names, and somewhere between here and here, yeah, right here, you get kind of like the border. Yeah, neat. So yeah, Lang 3, more Japanese. So I gotta add a bunch more languages, but Lang 3. Do we ever hit a Lang 4? Oh man, my tummy is grumbling. Yeah, so in this particular map, we never hit a Lang 4. But you can see there's like a style of name that is specific to specific areas. So this is working. And yeah, neat. So I just need to tailor the sets to make them look a little bit you like throw some other things in to kind of throw off the training a little bit so it doesn't look exactly like Indian. Oh, we have a yeah, so there is, so Halmington, Ashburn, Thuxta Twin. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes India might have some British sounding names too, but Little Down, Kirby, Wintry, I bet that over here off the map is a British, Great Britain cultural center that's kind of sneaking in here. But not, yeah, none of the existing ones. Actually, I could widen the search for, let's do that. Let's show more cultural centers than show on this map. We can do that pretty easily. So we can come in here. We can set radius to 2. And we get this, and then from, once we've got the ID, we don't need to do all that stuff. We can steal this code from at the top. Is that where I put it? Yeah. So we'll go through the seductiles again, basically, and we'll just build them up. I think this will work. Uh-oh. Something is unhappy. No such property seductile ID for class blah 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 blah. 158. No. No, not wrong thing. I need to look for my script in all this. 660. Just ID. Okay. Okay, so we should get, yeah. Okay, so we've got a Lang 4 over here and another, yeah. So just off the edge, we got a bunch of Lang 4s. So there is a British influence between here and here. So this one's right on the edge. It hits Lang 1. And then up here, we definitely get some Lang 2. Although, you know what? These all generated different this time. That's concerning. The names should be the same every time. Alright, let's do an experiment. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to just reset the script so it regenerates the image. And we're going to take a screenshot. And we're going to regenerate the image again. I can already tell things have changed. And so if we go here, yeah, all the names are changing. The cultural centers are not. Okay. So that's not good. So where are we adding real randomness? So let me make sure we're not doing it in the get name function itself. No, we're just calling get random place name. And get random place name. Oh, I'm so hungry. Somebody made food. It's making me so hungry. Like, I could see like names on the edges being different if we happen to sort randomly different. Like right on the edge, if the distances were the same, I could see them being different. But every name is different, which means something in our randomness is not reproducible. So the centers are all in the same place, so that's fine. It's down here. This is not right. Oh, duh, right here. I was passing in a new random rather than using the one I just created. Okay, okay. Let's try again. The other thing about the map previews is I wish they were bigger. Like, I really want like big giant map previews, and maybe I'll make some utility where you could put a seed in and it will just generate like quality maps you could like print out and hang on the wall kind of thing. I think it would be cool. All right, so this is what we look like. Let's take a screenshot and then let's generate it again before I go moving around and looking at things. And we'll take a screenshot again. Okay, so then start. Okay, yay! All the names are stable. You can see I'm going back and forth between two images, and you can't see any changes here unless you look up here. You can see that the heap value changes. So this proves I'm looking at two different images, but they're identical other than that. So the names, we generated the names twice. They were the same. And so now we can actually like fly around and look at stuff. Okay, so yes, we've got a Lang 2, which was India, and Lang 1, which is China. So we get like Chinese names over here. Yep, okay. And then we get language 4 and language 4, which start to infiltrate. We get Unstown, and we still get India over here. Because it's just a little closer, right? But here we're getting into Corrington. Yeah, so between these two things, if you imagine a straight line between these two, we get that influence. Yeah, so right here is like where the line is, right? So we get a Corrington and Dashang, and then Bringwine, which is probably a British-based one. Yeah, Bellycliff, but and now we start to get, yeah, still Lang 4 over here, but there's a Chinese one really close. So if we backed up, like we've got, it'd be neat to draw the what do you call that? Where you draw the lines between the influences. Yeah, pretty neat. So yeah, so if I just add a bunch more languages, yeah, you get like these places where you get like really sort of chaos, and you can imagine sort of what would have happened. You can come up with real life explanations for why there's so many cultures slammed into one little area. I just like it, and I wonder if there's a way to influence other things based on this. But yeah, pretty cool. Neat. Yeah, so I need to then make a whole bunch of language sets. I probably want like 12. I think. Just so there's 12. Yeah, just so there's a reasonable possibility that you'll get like unique ones over an area like this, rather than lots of repeats like this. But yeah, I think this is pretty cool. Ready, almost like one line change in the code. I think I could make it so that the town names actually generate like this. So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, pretty cool. But I'm gonna fill in. I'm gonna get the. Before I do that, I'm gonna get the training sets fixed up. Combine them like I want. Do some tests. I think I want to do some prototyping. Write a little script that dumps like 100 names out for each one for the different parameters, and figure out what I want to use for village names versus city names. I think with the way I have it now is the village names tend to be longer and the city names shorter, which I'm okay with. I think that follows the real world a little bit. Yeah, neat. So yeah, I can't wait to see this in the game. See what villages and towns and stuff get named. Pretty cool. Do you guys have any other questions before I call it tonight? Otherwise, I think I'm going to start shutting it down. I think we're pretty good. I may actually get the cutter released tomorrow, if not Monday. Just to get the last few things. This is not going to happen this week. This is a long-standing problem. So, alright. And with that, I will go ahead and start shutting down the live stream. Yep. So again, next week will be probably on Saturday also, since I have something to go to Friday night. But let's go ahead and hit the thanks page. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I'm so desperately close to getting 1,000 subscribers. It would be really cool. And and we'll do something special for Halloween again this year, so keep an eye out for that. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks.